It's January 12th, 2021. The MCU is back and Mostly Superheroes is here to talk about it. Let's do it. That's right. It's the Infinity Special, and we are talking about Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, and it's going to be most of the episode. We're not messing around today. We're actually combining two of our major segments into one just so we can fit all this in. The MCU is kicking off this Friday with 2 episodes of WandaVision on January 15th on Disney+. Phase 4 is beginning. We are getting level set here right now, right here today, to catch you up, wrap up Phase 3, so that you can jump off the diving board that the MCU has put in front of us and watch WandaVision on Friday. With me, as always, or at least usually, PC Mike and the Giggler. PC Mike, how you doing?
I'm great, man. Every time you say the Giggler, it makes me giggle. So I might be Giggler 2.0 or something too.
Giggler.
That's fine.
Are you boys ready to talk about some Avengers?
100%. I was born ready. I think I was literally born for this. So
you guys have been treating this kind of like Christmas the past couple of days. So I'm excited to hear your guys' take, because I might be a little bit of a Debbie Downer on some parts, but I'm excited to hear your guys' takes.
That's why you're here, is to be the realistic fan. You like comic book stuff. You've never claimed to be like an MCU mega head. I've called you like a newcomer. So I'm excited to have your take as part of the show. It's going to be good.
And I rewatched them, and I'll save what I thought for when we talk about it, but you'll just have to wait and see and listen on in the episode.
So we're talking about it, and we're going to catch you up just about what happens in the MCU leading up to these movies. And like I said, we're combining 2 sections today. So with that, both of our songs here. What you watching? We're putting this one with the meat. Guess it's like a what you watching sandwich. I just thought of that. Pretty proud of that joke.
I love it. I'm hungry
too.
too.
About this earlier, you could have been like, all right, here's the bread, here's the lettuce, the tomato, the meat.
And the Avengers are the pickles.
Yeah, we got a big old meat for you today.
That's right. We're combining our 2 sections, the meat and what you watching. Don't worry, we're going to mix in fan mail today. It always comes in at the beginning, right? We're working it into the Infinity Saga. So we are talking about these 2 fantastic films that, in my opinion, is one of the greatest accomplishments in film of all time, that really has done something so unique and, in my mind, so picture perfect that as I rewatch these films, and I've seen them so many times at this point, it really is a masterpiece. So this image I pulled up on the screen is from Pinterest. It's from Mundo Geek. He's got this sick poster of the Infinity Saga. We're talking about 23 Marvel films that kicked off in 2008 with Iron Man. I remember we did a whole episode. That was one of my very first episodes I did of the podcast. We did a whole deep dive on that particular film. To think that end credit scene with Nick Fury talking about, other superheroes was gonna turn into this perfectly crafted story that would follow the arcs of, 3 major characters with dozens of sub characters that you care about, and then wrap it up with a nice tight bow with these 2 movies we're about to talk about. I just have to give it up for Kevin Feige, the Marvel Studios team, who came out and said, we're going to do this, and they did it right. Giggler, you just did a somewhat of a rewatch of the films. How did it go? What was your experience rewatching these films, and how excited are you to talk about the saga today?
I'm so pumped. Like I said, I was literally born for this, and like I wish I would have had this graphic because I was working off of some like internet article that had a bunch of ads that kept popping up. I kept refreshing it. I'd finish a movie and then go back to it, scroll down a little bit. Ended up missing a few because this article was actually kind of shitty. But I mean, I've seen all these movies minimum, even like Ant-Man, which is one of the lower ones, or I don't know. They're all just so good. You can't really rate or rank them, but we'll get to that later. But it was a treat. I wrote down some things that I didn't maybe catch like the first time around that I think we'll probably get into once we get to start talking about certain characters in these next two movies. But I would recommend doing this to just about anybody over any show watching. This is just pure greatness.
Yeah, greatness from beginning to end. And it was so great because I actually watched the two movies in preparation for this episode. And then I had a long weekend left and I was like, I'm going to watch Age of Ultron. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch Civil War. I can't get enough. Once I start watching, I realize, oh yeah, these are the best movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, you just sit there and watch one, and then you get to you're like, okay, I'll watch the end credit scene. And then you're like, oh yeah, I remember how I felt when this happened. And then you just have to watch the next one. It's just a never ending cycle.
Me and Andy obviously nerd out hard over these films. PC Mike, what are your thoughts on what you've seen from these movies, and how do you feel about talking about the Infinity movies today?
Rewatching them, I really did enjoy them. I felt some parts were like, I don't know, a little cringeworthy. Like, really, are they doing this? But overall, like, I enjoyed them. And I think I took it for granted when it first came out, I guess, because it was just so much overload. I mean, Endgame's made the most money in history of a movie, right? And I think it was just kind of like overload. But then rewatching Infinity War and Endgame, it made me appreciate them more now looking back, and also seeing how my beloved DC has been so bad at trying to do these movies and actually seeing it pretty well done. It's like, wow, I hats off to them. I did have a question for you two before we really got into this, though. Your previous slide had both those posters up. Which one do you like more?
Oh man, I like the Endgame.
I was gonna go Infinity War.
I think I like Infinity War a little more too. It just looks more rugged to me. I don't know.
I don't have any tattoos, but I would get that tattooed like on my back if I could get. That would be so badass.
Yeah, just a
full back piece.
Full back piece, maybe each side on each shoulder blade.
Oh yeah, that would cost a lot of money and probably hurt a lot, but
yeah, that's a tough question, Mike, because I think it's almost asking like which movie do you like more, because these posters are so well done, they really do capture the essence of the movie.
I mean, it's almost like sensory overload for them, but I don't know. I like the ruggedness. I like how Thor looks. I like how Captain America looks with the flow and all that. I think it's like little things like that I like a little bit more.
Either way, I love them. They're beautiful. I just stare at them sometimes. All right. So, jam-packed episode. Talking about these two movies in order. We're going to do Avengers Infinity War. We're going to talk through the movie, and then we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get an Endgame, and then we'll wrap up the show with what's coming up this week. We got a lot going on in the show. You can check all that out at mostlysuperheroes.com if you're multitasking. So this is how we're going to do this. This is a show for the real fans, okay? This is like for the people that love these movies and know them throughout. So this isn't going to be a retell to where we're just starting at the beginning, telling it through the end, because the people listening to this, I'm going to assume you know the movie. Now, we're going to cover the top moments from the film. We're going to talk about them. And then we're going to just do a very quick kind of breeze through of a check-in on the characters from the film, ones that are really relevant to what's happening now with Phase 4. So it's going to be kind of like we're talking about this current movie we love, but we're also aligning ourselves with what's coming out this year on Disney Plus for MCU. So it's going to be a good kind of combination, reminiscing and kind of refreshing yourself to get ready. So starting with Avengers Infinity War. Holy moly, this was it, right? This poster I have pulled up on the screen. You know, this is a huge plug to our YouTube channel. All of the images today come from Disney Plus, owned by Marvel Studios. But this is the poster that we saw. I don't think we ever even actually got this scene. Just talking outright. This is the Wakanda. Hulk's running with Black Panther, Captain Marvel. There's this shot is not actually in the movie. I believe I'm correct on that. Just so everybody knows, this was like the promotional.
Hulkbuster in there in the movie shot. It's the Hulkbuster and not the Hulk.
Right, the Hulk's not even in the Battle of Wakanda. So just pointing that out, and I think that someone spoke to this. Either way, this is the movie that was bringing it all to the forefront. You know, we showed you this screen here of all these titles, and he mentioned the end credit scenes. This was the type of movies. These were the ones that introduced end credit scenes of trickling in this story behind the story. And in this sense, when you're watching Iron Man, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, all of these films, you're getting this little trickle of this Infinity Stone and these Infinity Stones and the Infinity Gauntlet and a big bad guy known as Thanos. And this is the movie where it is time to battle. Thanos is coming. And this is right from Google, the synopsis for the film to kick us off. Avengers Infinity War. Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk and the rest of the Avengers unite to battle their most powerful enemy yet, the evil Thanos. On a mission to collect all 6 Infinity Stones, Thanos plans to use the artifacts to inflict his twisted will on reality. The fate of the planet and the existence itself had never been more uncertain as everything the Avengers have fought for has led to this moment. Let's talk about some of our top favorite moments getting out of the gate, and we do start early in the film. I did try to kind of at least keep them somewhat in order, but we're going to get pretty wild here today, I'm pretty sure. For me, right out of the gate, this is where we open up. We're on the ship, Asgard, the Asgardian ship, taking place right after the film, Thor Ragnarok. Give it up for Thor Ragnarok. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And Loki's there. You know, bad time for Loki with Thanos. But we get the fight between Thanos and Hulk as like kind of a last-ditch effort to stop him before he, you know, goes for the rest of these final 3 stones. Got a few of the stones in the beginning. Dude, this fight between him and Hulk, even though Hulk gets his ass kicked, I love the fight scene. It looks so good. It's just these two, like, you know, he's an unbelievable fighter and warrior and just whoops the crap out of him. Andy, what were you thinking when you watched this scene for the first time and Hulk like went down to the ground? Because you were in theaters.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is just part of. There's just so many great graphics in this whole thing. Like this is such an awesome, just one picture of this shot here, and obviously behind is Thor not having a great day, but sure that'll be probably on one of the next few slides. But I'm just, yeah, the best part of rewatching was just kind of taking myself back to how I thought and felt the first time around.
Yeah, and I remember that feeling of like absolute, like he beat the Hulk so fast, and that was one of the things that as I watched all the movies and I started to put together that this Infinity story was going to happen, I always thought like, hey man, they got the Hulk. How could they ever lose? Like, look how how badly he beat Loki in Avengers 1 when he just rattles him around like a rag doll. I was like, if you put the Hulk against Thanos, he wouldn't even stand a chance. And then Thanos just literally beats him hand-to-hand combat. What perfect, first of all, let's just give it up real quick. Josh Brolin, unbelievable villain as Thanos, and just killed it. PC Mike, what were your thoughts on Thanos and Infinity War with Josh Brolin's Thanos?
I was trying to actually do a little research as you were talking. I was trying to see who is bigger, Thanos or Hulk. And actually, Hulk is 3 inches taller, it says. I don't know if that's anything. Hulk is listed at 8 foot. What is he listed at? 8'5", and Thanos is 8'2".
They're just giants.
Yeah, and I think Thanos was close to 1,000 pounds. I couldn't find the Hulk's weight. But yeah, I mean, as a kid growing up, you always think Hulk is the end all be all. And then you see this and it's kind of like, whoa, got to take a step back a little bit and kind of check everything that I've known about the Hulk and kind of anything I've known about superhero movies up until now, with the bad guy looking like he's going to prevail, or especially even early on. I know a lot of movies early on, the bad guy's doing his thing, he's winning. But this taking down the Hulk and doing all this, I mean, that was shocking to watch it back.
Yeah, don't forget Hulk's packing heat after that the Christmas present I got you, Logan.
Yeah, I got that. It's in here somewhere. I have it laying here.
Talk about
I got the
size comparisons.
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely just a great way for this villain to open up. You guys both said it. Beat the shit out of the Hulk, killed Loki, and presumably killed Thor. And then we obviously know that he didn't kill him. But yeah, Thor has a rough day. He watches his brother die, and what's his name? Heimdall, the Guardian that used to guard Asgard. He dies right in front of him. That was like one of his mentors. So he's just really low in this movie.
And all of Asgard died in the ship as well, right? Like right at the same time. That's a rough day right there.
That's a rough day. You lost your planet. Yeah, your parents are gone. He lost an eye too. He was really down in this one. All right, next up, top moment for sure. One of my absolute favorite scenes is whenever all of the Hulk gets sent back to Earth. Bruce Banner meets up with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange pulls in Tony Stark immediately. Wu is there. Thanos' bad guy assistants show up to get the Time Stone from Doctor Strange. And I love this sequence of the face-off between Tony and kind of the aliens giving some big speech about, well, you should be welcoming your demise. You're dying at the hands of Thanos. And Tony just cuts him off. He's like, Earth is closed. He's like, get out of here. Get on your ship. Get out of here. We're not messing around. And then you get a fight sequence with the nano Iron Man suit, the nanites, that come out of nowhere, out of his chest. Doctor Strange and Wu teaming up. And then, of course, Bruce can't get the Hulk to come out for the entire movie, which we'll talk about that. I have a whole slide about that. Andy, what was it like for you to see, like, Tony Stark, Iron Man, like, fighting with Doctor Strange in the same movie?
It's just so weird. Like, they're so different, but their relationship, like, through the movie, obviously until the end of this one, is just so like dynamic. I feel like just kind of. I mean, we'll get to it later in the ending scene, obviously, with the end game and everything. But I wasn't a huge Doctor Strange fan up until this movie. I just thought he was kind of just a out there character. But you gotta love him after this one, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike?
And would you say a lot of characters weren't, I don't know, like with me not being as ingrained as you guys and just kind of popping in and out, like there's just so many characters, but then you see it like this and it all kind of just comes together and it's just almost perfect. Like Doctor Strange, I could give two craps about a Doctor Strange movie if I'm being honest. But him in here plays such a pivotal role that it makes you care about the character a little bit more.
Yeah, and you're going to care about the Multiverse of Madness because that's going to be wild.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun flick. Yeah, I'm a huge Doctor Strange fan. I like the first movie. I loved it, of course. But I think he is one of those characters that people kind of always have in the back of their mind of like, who is Doctor Strange? Like, what is he? And him in the fight in Thanos, we're going to talk all about it. But I love this sequence just with, Spider-Man ends up showing up. This is when he enters the film. You get a good mix of them fighting in downtown, New York. So I loved how it kind of had some of the ground roots of our OG adventure films with this, aspect of all these characters playing together for the first time. So ship goes up, takes the Time Stone, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and Spider-Man. These are the Avengers that are going along for the ride back to Titan. And simultaneously at this time, we'll talk about Thor. I think I have a. Let me look forward here real quick. Okay, so yeah, at the same time, Thor has met up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's gonna go off to Nidavellir, make his axe. Rocket and Groot go with him. Gamora's gonna go fight her dad, try to get the Reality Stone from nowhere, and all that goes to shit. Gamora has to go with Thanos. Well, they come back to Titan, the Guardians do, to try to find Thanos and Gamora, and there's a fight scene in Thanos' ship between the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy. Just a very brief, like, little 3-minute thing. But you get to see, like, Star-Lord versus Iron Man and using their tech versus each other and flying around each other. You get Drax and the cape like holding him down. Doctor Strange's cape is like holding Drax to where he can't do anything. I just loved seeing all these not just a Marvel's always paid off in this way, right? Like during the first Avengers film, they gave us right off the bat like an Iron Man versus Captain America, a Captain America versus Thor, a Thor versus Hulk. Like they give you the payoff of like what happens when these guys like come in contact with each other, and we got a great taste of it in this scene. So definitely one of my top moments here. Any thoughts on the Guardians of the Galaxy in this film? Look at you, Giggler. I think they brought a fun aspect to the movie. I think it felt like whenever they brought them in, it felt like a Guardians movie just in those moments. But what'd you think?
Yeah, I agree. I like this scene right here was one of my favorites. I almost spit out my water when the part where Doctor Strange says to Star Lord, "What master do you serve?" And he's like, "What do you want me to say, Jesus?" And like I that's one of my favorite lines from the whole movie. And it's like we consider them like the Avengers. They're all on a team, but technically, right here, they didn't even know who each other were at this time. So just to think about unity that comes forward out of all this for the team and everything, I love it.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite lines in the movie is the one right after that where Tony goes, "Oh, you're from Earth," and Peter goes, "No, I'm from Missouri," and Tony goes, "That's on Earth, you dipshit."
For sure.
This was one of those moments, though. I thought it was like not cringeworthy, but just kind of like, oh, of all the galaxies, we just kind of end up here, huh? I don't know. Too perfect, but it is a movie. They have to come together.
But they were coming together because it was all coming to Thanos. So they all end up on Thanos' home planet of Titan.
But was this when Thor landed on their ship?
It was right after. So Thor, yeah, that it is like there's a lot of space travel happening, and timing is working out in the movie's favor. I'll give you that.
But could you argue that Doctor Strange had this all planned all along?
He did see one of 14 million possibilities that was the success.
Yep.
Talking about Titan, talking about Doctor Strange, we have to talk about just the ultimate fight against Thanos on Titan versus the Avengers. Okay, so this was like this was the big payoff, right? This was like, okay, this is what you've wondered the whole time. Like, what does a fight look like against this guy that has a Infinity Gauntlet on his hand and can do anything? And what happens when you bring in a character like Doctor Strange? And what happens when you bring in characters like Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, and Iron Man? I'll tell you what happens. It's movie magic. Because it's one of the best things I've ever seen. And I catch myself just looking up the fight sometimes, like on I'll just like Google it and just like find it and just watch it again. Because I just love the sequence so much. And go ahead.
The visuals are insane. The visuals for this are insane.
Visually unbelievable. The CGI is just, it looks legit. Like you believe this Thanos, like you believe these things are happening. Doctor Strange casting all the crazy spells. And then, of course, we have to address the elephant in the room, but Peter Quill just fudging up the whole mission.
Big bad. He messed up big bad.
Oh my God. Like, how did no one stop him? Like Iron Man, like Tony's like, hey, don't do this. And I was like, dude, just blast this guy in the face. What are you doing?
Kill one to save, I don't know, 3.5 billion or something like that.
Well, it was half of the universe. So you're talking like trillions of life forms.
Yeah, trillions.
You talk about a bad guy plan. What'd you think of this bad guy plan, Mike?
I mean, does it say why he wants to do this? Is it for like resources or something, or like not everyone needs to live? And
yeah, it's resources are finite, and his planet was like going through them too quickly, and his solution was kill half of everybody and we'll be fine. And he just didn't understand why people couldn't like get on with the plan.
Yeah, I think like in 5 years later, in Endgame, Captain America says something about, I was coming across the bridge and there were some whales going up the river, clear water, more areas for them to swim or something like that. And I was like, that's crazy to think, but it's almost like what happened this year when people stopped driving and like going outside and stuff. Like the whole world just changed around us.
Yeah, I mean, stuff did clear up, but I I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know if this is a good plan just for resources, and all he wanted to do was go farm after.
Yeah, like if you wanted to do that, like why didn't you just always go to that place?
Yeah, hey, I don't know, Thanos, start a compost pile at your own farm. Like that's what you can do instead of kill trillions of people.
Yeah, and like I think that was the Avengers point was like, hey man, we can't let you do this.
We'll get you some chickens. Like we can make this work.
Tony's like, I can make I can
Co-op.
yeah, I can make you he's like, we'll set you up with the nicest house. Well, he does go through with it. We'll get there. Easily one of my top favorite parts. This is the one that like I would get like chills down to my core. But when Thanos does get Stormbreaker from Nidavellir and comes back with Groot and Rocket, lands in Wakanda, is ready for the battle, and he just does like a big giant jump and lightning strike and like bangs down. It's like the music, the ramp up to that moment, Thor's even just journey from throughout the movie and like getting to this part, it just really gets me every time. Giggler, would you agree? Is this one of your tops?
For sure. And just like, I think rewatching this scene kind of made me realize one of the issues of like DC's issues versus Marvel when you like compare them. Like they're doing this battle and there's like kind of funny banter between like Thor and Captain America where they're like talking about each other's beards and their hair, and like I'm just like that kind of like comedic like parts of the film are like kind of what like DC is like tried at times. It just didn't work for me a lot of times in their movies. Like I know they tried to like go darker with those, so maybe that's why. But I just love it. The scene was just the whole action and everything. Even though we can all talk all the smack we want on Vision, and that's what happens at the end. But we'll get there.
We will. Yeah, we got the character section coming up. We'll get there. But yeah, I'm with you for sure.
Andy, I think I totally agree with you because like I think the comedic aspects of this movie made it better. Like I don't know, Drax cracks me up with the stuff that he did throughout these. I don't know if it's in this one or the next one when he's like moving very slow. He's like, I'm moving so slow, I'm invisible. They're like, we can see you.
Yeah.
Somebody walks in, they're like, hey, he's like, and then just leaves.
That's this one. And he goes, how long you been in here? And he goes, an hour.
Yeah. He listened to their whole heart-to-heart conversation.
Yeah, she's like, you got to promise me that you'll kill me. And he's just sitting there eating chips.
It's like, you can't see me move.
Another perfect example of like the comedy part is just like the Hulk and Thor Ragnarok. Like hilarious. The relationship between him and Thor is just, I just couldn't stop laughing the whole time. Every time they had a scene together. So
yeah,
it's then Batman versus Superman. They'd say like Martha, and the whole movie would change. Like, what are we doing this?
And they couldn't even like talk to in Batman versus Superman. I would always just say like, just have a conversation.
But here we are.
Here we are. All right, PC Mike, you're up. This is your open floor on Avengers: Infinity War favorite parts, but we are going to go through like kind of character by character, so it can be more like top level.
I really enjoyed watching it again. The battle scenes were epic. Are we doing scores right now too?
No, save that.
Okay. Battle scenes were epic. Like I said, I love the comedy. I love seeing characters come together. I didn't know as much as the backstory and the other characters, but seeing them all on screen coming together, I enjoyed it. And I'll be DC until I die. I'll try to hate on Marvel when I can, but you can't hate on this because it was really awesome. And I think, I don't know. I think it was a fun movie. It's a fun movie. And I think it's a movie from kids that are 8 years old to people that are 80. And I think it hits those levels with anything they do. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Top moments, those battle scenes that we talked about were awesome.
Any characters you liked? Any moments that like really stuck out to you where you were like, oh, that was cool?
The Doctor Strange part where he had all those time things to get on Thanos and like those things were really cool. I watched them back to back, so I don't want to like kind of spoil both.
Yeah.
But yeah, the end scene when they're in Wakanda and they're starting to get through the force field, and you could feel it like building up. They're like those things are like cutting themselves trying to get through it. It's just like building that anticipation. And then when it happens, and then it's like a tension that builds, and then boom. I thought that was a cool build up there. But yeah, I really liked it. I'll save my thoughts on one character for a little later. But overall, I loved it. I really did.
Awesome. Andy, same to you. Top moments from Infinity War before we get into the characters.
Oh man, I really loved the introduction of the Iron Spider suit, even though I think it was teased in one of the prior movies, right? When he like turned it down after I think the first Spider-Man movie. But oh man, that thing's beautiful. As well as Tony's new suit. I mean, just all the insane tech that I just really want in real life right now. Just everything. This movie is just
yeah, dude. I hear you.
I can't wait to give it a rating. I've been thinking the whole time in my head about what number to give it, but I loved it so much, and just like the culmination of the stones, like you said, just touched on it here and there in every movie, and just finally came to here. Like I just remember counting down the days, the minutes, the hours until this movie came out, and just didn't disappoint. And here we are, like how many years later, and still talking about it on a podcast that I'm sure plenty of people will listen to and enjoy as well.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, that's the plan. I'll tell you right now, though, we talk about it, and I relive it just like when I saw it that first time, and it really is it just holds up and looks so good. Well, we also had a top moment from some fans out on Twitter.
Fan mail.
So yeah, we'll throw you a little fan mail music. This one's coming at us from Twitterland. Remote Control Wiz says, his Twitter is WKREHER14. Replied to our promotion on this, says, this is the moment Stark realizes he has to become the shield of armor. Oh, okay. So actually this is from the next movie. So we are going to feature it, Remote Control Wiz, but I'm going to bring it back whenever we talk about Endgame. That's on me. I put the slide in the wrong spot. But appreciate you guys that followed along on our promotions of the episode. Be sure to send us in your thoughts and your favorite moments from the movie. We'll still feature you on future shows or on our social media. Talking about the characters now of Infinity War, kind of wrap up the film, make sure we didn't miss any moments, and then we'll do some final ratings. So where do each of the characters leave off at the end of the film? And this will help us tie up a few loose ends here. Tony and Nebula, I grouped them together. They're on Thanos whenever the snap happens, back on Earth, and they're left for dead, essentially. They have the ship, and that's all we know is, Tony's there. He just lost Spider-Man. All the Guardians essentially died, except for Nebula and Rocket. So these two are here. Thor, we said it. He had a rough go. He had a really great story arc, and he did get his weapon created, and he really should have killed Thanos. And he really should have gone for the head.
But do we blame him? I mean, do you know that he's going to snap and kill half the world or half the universe?
He did know because Gamora told him that he would
snap.
Yep.
Well, that's on him then.
Earlier in the movie, she said he'll snap his fingers just like this. And Thor was like, okay, got it. And then he shoves that axe in his chest, and I was like, you need to chop his hands off.
Yeah, that's on Thor. My bad.
But his face says it all. He has a lot of remorse. He's really sad at the end of this when he wears hoodies, and we know where he ends up in Endgame.
He's very cool in the next one, though, to start off with. He's very cool.
That's the face of a man that's about to gain a lot of weight.
I like how Mike.
I think he bounces back.
I like how Mike's like he's really cool. Like he's living the coolest life. He's drinking beer all day. He's got
videos. They go find him. I love when they go find him, and it's just like, yeah, he comes into town once a week, and then the camera pans over, and it's just like 30 kegs of beer sitting over there.
Yeah. Valkyrie says like he only comes down when they bring supplies. We'll get there. Well, that's the next movie. Okay. All right, Hulk. I wanted to address kind of this elephant in the room. There's this thing, like I've always wondered about this. Hulk does not come out after Thanos whoops that ass. And there's like this theory that he was scared of Thanos, but we also know there's like some tension between Bruce Banner and Hulk because they've had a storyline of their own along the movies. So I pulled this article from Sci-Fi Wire And they gave some thoughts on this. So this is from Joe Russo, one of the writers on Infinity War and Endgame, one of the brothers. A lot of people had interpreted that the Hulk was scared of Thanos. The Hulk has had his ass kicked before, and so it wasn't like the minute he gets his ass kicked, he's going to run and hide. It's really the notion that the Hulk and Banner have a very dysfunctional relationship, which was explored even further in Thor Ragnarok. I think that the relationship is starting to strain between the two of them, and the Hulk is not interested in playing the hero to Banner anymore. Russo went on to say, I don't know if the Hulk sees the value in the relationship. They both want to control Hulk's body. The Hulk brings fighting and strength to the table, and he's not quite sure what Banner is bringing yet. So I think this is becoming a stubborn push and pull about two personalities in one body, and we do see the results of that in Endgame. So does that answer any questions? Did you know that, Andy? Like being more a Marvel head?
Yeah, kind of. I guess I didn't really think about it too much. Like I never thought in my head that he was scared. I thought it was more so just like, I don't know, just freaked out. I don't know. It just, yeah, I guess I never really thought about this.
He's never coming out, dude. Like Banner's always like, come on, Hulk. And Hulk's like, no.
He just couldn't get it up.
Yeah, he couldn't get it up. Some guys have that problem. All right.
He's really trying there, though. So he's really trying.
So Mike, you might get to tap into some of your notes here. I don't know if you're saving it for Endgame, but I think, well, probably not. So this was WandaVision. I put them on one slide. It's not a mistake. It's because WandaVision is kicking off Friday. Definitely want to pay attention to what's happening with these characters in these movies. It's important for probably what's happening in the show. So Wanda dies at the end to the snap. Vision had already been dead because Thanos violently ripped the Mind Stone out of his head and threw it down. So they're dead at the end. And just a spoiler alert for Endgame, we're going to talk about it, but Vision is totally dead. Like he does not come back because he wasn't killed by the snap, so he can't be brought back by the snap. A lot of reasons this matter. It's like, when is this WandaVision, this reality that they've showed us, this sitcom reality, when is it taking place? Is it like when the snap happens? Maybe it's before that. We know that they also had like this 2 years of time in between Civil War and Infinity War, where they kind of clue us into what happened during those 2 years. Black Widow talks to Scarlet Witch in this movie and says, like, you were supposed to be checking in with me. Tony says that Vision turned off his transponder 2 weeks before Infinity War happened. So that means he was like working with Tony, but then like 2 weeks before Infinity War, he's like, I'm not telling you where I am anymore. So there was something happening within those 2 years that led up to this movie. But we do know at the end that they're both dead. One's dusted, primed to come back. Vision's gone. Any other thoughts on WandaVision here, fellas?
Yeah, I think something I picked up this time around was just that you can tell that the children of Thanos know how powerful Wanda is, because in this battle prior to this on Wakanda, they're like seeking her out, like knowing that she's going to be the main protection for Vision. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Not something I really picked up on. I don't think I really realized how badass she really is until kind of I thought about what this WandaVision show really is and how kind of reading some of the backstory about it. But Vision's Vision. I mean, R.I.P.
I'm going to give you the floor, Mike. What do you think about Vision?
I think he was probably the worst character in all of these movies. Like, you put all the bad stuff about every single character and put them into one, and you found Vision. like you're going to hide a stone in the middle of your forehead and just chill out for the whole movie when the whole world depends on it. Like, come on, man. Like, just, I don't know, go hide somewhere. Go hide. I don't know what to do, but just like go hide. I don't know. There's nothing redeeming about him that I liked. And if a kid has a Vision shirt out there, let me know. I'll buy you a different one, because he is so bad and I just see no redeemable qualities about him. Hopefully the show coming up, WandaVision, that we will watch, I'm excited for the 15th, redeems him, but he has a long way to go to be redeemed.
I will concur. And it's an ongoing joke that at least me and my friends make, that you know, Vision is just like a bitch, and he's really tough in Age of Ultron, like for the very first movie, and then like he's wearing a sweater in like Civil War, and he's in Age of Ultron, and in the rest of the movies, he just doesn't really bring much to the table. Like he gets bested by like Clint for a minute. That's Hawkeye in Age of Ultron. There's like or in Civil War. In Civil War, there's a scene where he like the Hawkeye guy stopped Vision. And I was like, how's that possible? The guy can like be invisible.
Yeah, why didn't he use any of his power? I don't know. Just like,
Yeah, why are you punching? Like, why are you punching this guy? Like, do Vision stuff.
and like in the middle of your forehead is where we're gonna hide one of these stones that controls the universe. Like, I get it. Does it give him his powers because it's there and stuff?
It's just where it lives, though. I mean, it doesn't. It could have lived anywhere.
Put it up your butt, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, let's not have this just out there for like a beacon for everybody to see. And then Thanos just, all right, thanks, man. There we go. You killed every single person you know.
And Doctor Strange wore his on a necklace that was like 3 feet long.
Yeah. And then all three, like there's three of them that are just happen to be in New York City. And Jessica Jones is probably out there, and Luke Cage and all them. So New York's a hotbed. Don't live in New York City if you're in the Marvel universe.
If you're in the MCU, if you're in New York, you're going to be having to wear a helmet when you walk the streets.
Your insurance will be through the roof, like supervillain insurance. I don't know what you'd even Progressive have to come up with something for you because it is so ridiculous there during this.
All right, moving on. Falcon, Winter Soldier. Of course, I grouped them together because that show is following WandaVision. It'll be coming in March. They do get dusted at the end of this. Will it affect anything that happens in the show? I would say possibly, but they do get dusted at the end. Loki, OG Loki, does get killed by Thanos. He is dead. He was not killed by the snap. He's not brought back by the snap. And we'll talk about the Loki show later on in the episode. We also lose Gamora, not via the snap, because Thanos kills her and sacrificed for the Soul Stone. This is the OG Gamora that you've seen in Guardians of the Galaxies 1 and 2. And she's dead. She's gone. She's not coming back.
She did a real WWE move, kind of taunting Thanos too before she died. But that's neither here nor there. She like walked around him and was like saying stuff. I was like, stop. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. It always comes back to haunt somebody.
Yeah, that was a rough scene, but I was just like, just run away. I ran down the stairs. Okay, and I got this screenshot. This is from Time. This is a list of everybody that didn't get snapped on the left and who did, just kind of high level. Like I said, the only one of the Guardians left is Rocket and Nebula. The rest are gone. All the main Avengers are alive. That's like why Endgame takes place, but then we are going to be introduced to Captain Marvel. You get the end credit scene with Nick Fury at the end of this film. Ant-Man is still alive because at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Scott Lang is in the quantum realm, and so he misses the whole snap, comes out. We'll see him in Endgame. Pepper Potts made it. So anyway, there's a good glance for you. Really crazy ending. That was one of the most crazy things I've ever seen in theaters. There was a bunch of people that were cheering and screaming during the big parts, and then when that happened, it was silent when the movie ended.
Was there a rhyme or reason of who died and who didn't? Or was it just completely random half?
I think it was random half. But I will say this, all of the main Avengers survived, and like that just doesn't seem, it's almost like he would have done that on purpose so that like they had to see that he won.
Yeah, this scene, I mean, just like to think how much like emotion that whole scene brought, like the first time you saw it, like that just gave me goosebumps for real. Like that was like perfectly done. I just remember there was little kids in the theater that I remember like screaming and like crying, and I was like, me like as an adult, I was like, I was sad, like maybe teared up a little bit. I don't know, but like in your head, I feel like, and I guess you guys might agree or maybe not, that you just know you're like, okay, there's another movie. It's gonna be okay. Everything will be okay.
Yeah. And it was a lot of the same thing. I did think like, okay, so there'll be another snap, I guess. But how will that work? Theorizing what was going to happen to Endgame was definitely one of the biggest, most fun things, because you were like, okay, now I'm thinking maybe I thought about time travel, and I I mean, I was really impressed with the way they went, but we'll talk about that. Why don't we go ahead and do a roundtable? We're going to rate this thing using our 4.0 scale. Let's start with PC Mike. Let's get your honest rating of this movie.
Honest rating, 3.4 for me.
Wow. I feel like I don't know if I expected you to be lower maybe, but that's a good score.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some flaws, of course. I think they had to line up things perfectly. I mean, it's a movie. It's not, and it's, I mean, it's a superhero film, but I mean, overall, I really liked it. I really did. There's some things like the vision thing that just irks me, and like Thor just happens to land on the space, like little things like that. But
That's true.
overall, I mean, it's entertaining. I'm more, like I said, I'm more of a Batman guy. I like the realism. I like that kind of stuff. But man, this was, for what it is, like I said, 8 to 80 can watch this and enjoy it.
Giggler, you are up. Praise the movie, but give an honest rating.
Oh yeah. This is tough. Part of me wants to give it a 4.0, but I'm gonna give some room for further movies to go above this, because I can't say this is the best movie I've ever seen or my favorite, but it's in the top 2, 3. So
well, you just said a fundamental thing. We have to make sure that we understand. Like, I don't see any reason. I think it's almost you're rating one movie, and if it's the best movie and it's a 4.0, I think that like you could have more than one 4.0 if it's a perfect film.
Okay, that's a good point. I'll go 3.7.
Whoa.
There's hardly any flaws in the whole movie, so I can't even.
Where would you ding it?
I don't think I could. Like, I can't think of anything specifically right now that I disagree with or didn't like. So,
well,
go 3.7.
3.7's good. I like it. It's a high score. Like, I don't know, especially a 4-point scale. That's heavy. I'll rate it right now, and I have to keep myself in check because I'm just like a giddy little kid over here with these movies. So I'm trying to be actually totally unbiased as much as I can and just look at it as this film. Like, do I have problems with it? I think there are parts that it's a long movie and they crammed a lot in, but there were some parts that kind of drug on that it could have been like probably like 5 seconds shorter on a scene on some of them. Nothing major. Other than that, I can't get enough of it, and I'm going to give it an honest rating of 3.9. Because I'm not going to give it an absolute perfect score. I think it has it's like the very rough around the edges, very small little things, and so I'm just barely going to ding it. All right, guys, that's Avengers Infinity War. Way to go. I think we got through it pretty quick. Any final thoughts from you two before we take a break on this movie?
Get ready for the next one.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, next up, we are going to talk about Avengers Endgame, the movie that wraps us up technically. Technically it's Far From Home, but Avengers Endgame wraps up Phase 3. And we're going to do the same thing, talk our top moments, talk about the characters, and help you feel good and prepared for Phase 4. So stick around. We'll be right back.
You've heard others, but nothing could prepare you for the shameful stupidity that is the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Hear Imran.
So if you offend everyone at once, it's a wash. I've covered everybody.
Anthony.
Sorry, I was texting. Say that again.
And Rug Boy.
Yeah, whenever there's a snowstorm, my slack hole tightens up.
As they talk over one another.
Just exactly the
John
same
Connor
as
was the fucking Terminator.
We're talking over each other. It's fine.
Sorry.
Swear.
I had boobies.
And ask you for money.
Just give us the money.
Witness the hubris as they claim to be the world's authority on comic book movies.
Who said?
Never said that. You've never said that.
Who cares? A jock said that.
Comic book, TV, movie reviews, news, and whatever they choose. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
It can't be silly, goofy fun.
Seriously, people really listen to this.
Jock and Nerd.
Welcome back from the break. This is Mostly Superheroes. I'm Logan. You're here with PC Mike and the Giggler. We have just talked about Avengers Infinity War. This is the Infinity Saga special. We are so primed and ready for MCU kicking off Phase 4 this week with WandaVision. We know you're excited. And you can bet we'll be talking about this show, and every film in the MCU every single week. So doing a lot in the show. There's a new schedule out, mostlysuperheroes.com, doing something every day. That includes live shows on Instagram, more podcast content, more video. If you want it, we got it. Go check it out. Next up, we got Avengers Endgame. My God, waiting for this movie was the hardest thing. Was like, I would literally just try not to think about the movie most days. I'm like, don't think about it today. It's not going to be here for another year. And I was so excited for the day that we actually shaped a whole event around the premiere of this movie. And it was me and 16 friends. I think that you were invited, Andy. I don't know if you got to make it. Were you there?
I don't think so.
No,
I wasn't invited.
You were
Next time I expect an invite, though.
Well, there's going to be plenty of times with all this Marvel stuff coming out. But we actually did 16 of us went to the movie, saw this in theater. We all dressed up as our favorite character. I dressed up as Star-Lord. And then we got a barsicle, which I don't know if you have barcicles in your town, but like there's this weird trend where like you get on this pretend mega bike because you don't even need to pedal. They have a motor on it. And people pedal and drink for like 2 hours, and they drive you around like a neighborhood. And we did it just so we could solely talk about the film. It was one of the best days ever. And it was like I planned that like 3 months in advance just so that I could have something like to keep my excitement up for those 3 months because it was so much fun. Opening up with the synopsis. Adrift in space with no food or water, Tony Stark sends a message to Pepper Potts as his oxygen supply starts to dwindle. Meanwhile, the remaining Avengers, Thor, Black Widow, Captain America, and Bruce Banner must figure out a way to bring back their vanquished allies for an epic showdown with Thanos, the evil demigod who decimated the planet and the universe. Holy cow. The Avengers lost. Half of everybody is dead. All right? And they didn't mention Captain Marvel on here, but she shows up too. She's with them. Top moments from the movie. Movie opens up really with Tony in space, like the synopsis said. He's with Nebula, and Captain Marvel has entered the storyline because we got the end credit scene from Infinity War with Nick Fury's pager. We had the Captain Marvel film that held us over. That was the one thing we got to watch in between the two movies. And then the end credit scene of Captain Marvel was her meeting up with the Avengers. Tony gets back. There's an intense scene with him and Captain talking about, how this, they were all divided at the time of this attack. This was the ramifications of Civil War and fighting amongst themselves. They paid the ultimate price. But then it's time to go get Thanos, get the Infinity Stones, and unsnap this thing. They figure out where he is because Nebula, being back from space, is like, hey, guys, I know where this garden place is. Let's go do it. We talked about it previously. He has a retirement home. He's sitting, he's all messed up because he did the snap. They get there, cut off his arm. He's destroyed the stones. One of my favorite parts of this whole sequence is when they go to space and they go, who hasn't been to space? And they like all raise their hand. It's hilarious. And then when they take off Captain America's eyes, they do a close up, and Chris Evans is just so good. Like I really felt like that's what Captain America would totally do if he was like seeing this thing, like he's seeing space travel now. He's seen everything. Now he's in space. I just thought that was a really cool part, especially for us watching like Captain America since the first Avenger, that little Steve Rogers, and look at him now.
You're geeking out pretty hard.
I'm geeking out. This is like what this episode is like why we're here, folks.
I'll stoke that flame for you. You keep going.
All right, well, let's keep it moving. We got more. All right, doesn't work. Here's the thing. I'm going to pause right here. There's the big thing that happens in Endgame that everyone needs to keep in their mind all the time because it is like crazy important. Avengers Endgame, after this moment, they don't get the stones. It's like really sad town. Everybody's super sad. They lose. It jumps ahead 5 years in time. This is crazy important. This has never happened before. You've been watching Iron Man since 2008. Well, in 2008, it was 2008, and you were just kind of living alongside the MCU. Not anymore. 5 years has gone by, and a lot of the shows we're going to be seeing are going to be kind of times in between, flashbacks. So it gives Marvel a lot more room to do like long form storytelling. It also gives them the opportunity to do like kind of drastic things that we've been speculating for the last year. Like, how do they bring in mutants? Well, it's been 5 years, so you could really argue that, like, you know, on year 3, something went down, right? And then you could tell that story in a show or a movie. I just want everybody to kind of remember that, because, like, it's such a drastic scene, too. Like, when they do the 5 years, it's like 5 years later. I don't know if you remember that, but it's, like, really slow.
Yeah, isn't it one of the Russo brothers that's in that scene, too, where they're doing the, I guess, therapy with Captain America?
Yeah, support group. Yep, that's Anthony Russo, and he's playing. Yeah, he talks about going on a date, and they cried. You know, really good actor too. You know,
Sure.
Over the summer, I actually did a the Russo brothers did a live watch of Avengers Endgame on Instagram for the first hour, and like I just sat there and watched it with him, like chatted and stuff, like with, you know, thousands of people. But I was like, this is so cool. We're definitely gonna be doing some live stuff like that. I don't think people want to sit with us like the Russo brothers, but I bet somebody does.
Some people may. We might be some people's Russo brothers one day. You never know.
I know a few people.
So 5 years goes by, and here's the big. I'm drinking a beer, by the way. Cheers, guys. So it's 5 o'clock where we're recording. I don't know if you guys are cool. Yeah. Oh, nice Coca-Cola. Oh, zero Coke Zero. Sorry.
Yeah, I got water.
New year, new me.
I'm drinking an all-day IPA. It's pretty good. Top moments moving here. So 5 years later, it's like, okay, everyone's kind of lived their lives. Tony's has a daughter. Captain America's going to support groups. Black Widow is like barely hanging on, running the new Avengers team. And it's like, okay, we figure out, because Scott Lang comes out of the quantum realm because a rat like messes with the van and storage. He gets him out. And he goes and tells Captain America we can do time travel. So, okay, we're going to do the time heist. And the time heist conference room meeting is one of my top moments from the movie, when they are talking about all the times they've all interacted with the Infinity Stones. You got like Scott that hasn't been there for any of it, and Rocket's like making fun of him. Like, so, like, he's like, oh, you guys, that happened in outer space. And Rocket's like, oh, you little puppy dog.
That bear.
Yeah, Bradley Cooper, just hilarious in this movie, like playing Rocket. You get Thor telling the story of Thor 2, The Dark World. He's just telling the story.
I like how he goes down like tangents too, and it's kind of like just goes off, and then he kind of comes back, and then he kind of goes off and comes back.
We all do that when we're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony says, "Do you want a biscuit or something?" He's like, "No, I would like a margarita." Or a Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Fat Thor, man. That was a choice. They went with, and they rocked it. Did you have any like weird thoughts about Fat Thor, Andy? I know Mike loved him.
No, I agree. Same. That's my hero. Just playing video games, drinking beers. That's the life I want to live. And then also on the side, you can just fly and be a god. What more could you want?
I like when they go in there to see him, and Korg is on the couch, and he's like, "Hey guys, free Wi-Fi, obviously."
Yeah, that's one of the best characters in the whole movie too, for sure.
So good.
I hope they keep them. Yeah, I hope Korg comes back in like Thor: Love and Thunder. I think we're all attached to him, and the fact that we saw him in Endgame is a good sign.
There needs to be just like a Disney short show of them hanging out, playing video games, doing something.
Your wish is probably going to be Disney's command.
I'm not saying like do a full like Loki 2 seasons, but give me a couple like 15-minute shorts here and there of them just hanging out, just like shooting the breeze.
I'm saying that it's completely possible that that'll be a show within the next 3 years.
Hey, and especially if like Disney, aren't they getting like the adult type button too, like with Deadpool coming to Disney Plus? I think a couple other like mature things are coming to Disney Plus, so it might be right up that alley. I might have to pitch it.
Yeah, I talked about this in our Monday episode on Instagram. It was Deadpool is got the green light for being rated R and being in the MCU. Huge. That was huge news. I was so pumped for that. I was like, this is going to be awesome, because they could still put him in PG-13 stuff and just bleep him. You could do it. I think so.
I
Anyway,
hope so. I'd rather it be rated R, but it'd be great.
I think some beeping would be funny, like throughout. But
well, what I mean is, of course, his stuff will be rated R. I'm saying that, like, if he is, because it's
in
the
a different
MCU,
movie.
so he could be in a Spider-Man movie.
yeah, and you just have to bleep him.
Yeah, because they're not going to make Spider-Man rated R. And they're not going to lose out on all those families.
Cash cow.
For sure.
So leading up to like one of my absolute top moments from the film, it was, of course, started with the Infinity brainstorm session, but it leads to, of course, their plan. We're going to be time traveling to all of your favorite Avengers movies in different years, and we're going to revisit your favorite moments from the aspect of future Avengers. This plan is insane. Steve Rogers, Captain America's speech still gives me chills all the way up to the moment that they leave. And especially now knowing like Black Widow, like really gets me. Powerful stuff. Love this part. You got the fist in, you got the suits. It looks awesome. This is going to be so fun. So I thought we could just breeze through where they go. New York 2012, aka Avengers 1, if you're keeping track. The idea here is to get the Mind Stone and the Tesseract. Luckily, Loki was just there, attacked New York. It seems to be going right. Steve Rogers actually has to fight the other Steve Rogers. They give us Captain America versus Captain America. This is what I'm talking about. The payoffs of these superheroes. That's what you want to see. Who wins when Captain America fights Captain America?
We all do.
We all do.
I think one of the things like Andy brought up for the first one was the comedy. I love when they came back and Hulk saw himself like smash that one thing with the car and he just kind of shrugged. He's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah, he just like scratches his head. He's like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Hulk was hilarious in the first part of this too. When he's like taking selfies at the diner and when Ant-Man's like, hey, I'm Ant-Man, do you want a picture? He's like, oh, come on, kids, get a picture with him.
You're like, you want it. Look at you. You're sad. You want it.
Yeah. He was hilarious.
Yeah, I love Professor Hulk. I was like totally shocked. We'll visit each of the characters one by one, but I love Professor Hulk for sure. We also get Avengers. I loved this scene. It made me laugh too. Again, there was a lot of humor in these fun parts. Tony and Ant-Man are in the Stark Tower, and they get the perspective of the Avengers doing the pose from looking at Loki. And you just hear Tony, like the past Tony, go, all right, let's go. We can all stand around posing up a storm later. Because like it is such a funny thing that I've always thought about, that they were all just posed like that looking at him. Because it is kind of corny, you know?
America's ass.
That's America's ass. We get that line. Oh, so great. It all goes, they get the Mind Stone, but it goes wrong with the Tesseract. This is why it's important for now. This is the Loki we're getting in the TV series that premieres in March. So we're talking old school Loki. Hasn't like lived through Dark World. Hasn't like came to like be a good brother, kind of. He's just a full-on bad guy. And he's on the run in 2012. We've seen previews for the show. We've seen other Avengers. We've seen teases at like a broken down New York again with like a Bruce Banner, it looked like. What are we talking about with this show? I cannot wait, and I can't believe that it's like a thing. Like we saw this character vanish from this movie, and the show comes on in 2 months.
And it's already greenlit for 2 seasons, right?
Yep, season 2 has already been greenlit and is like already in like early stages. We're so lucky. And then the last piece, since things go wrong with the Tesseract, because future Tony gets hit by the Hulk, Tony remembers a place where they could travel that has both Pym particles and the Tesseract at the same time. And it's, of course, jumping around a little, 1970 New Jersey. We get a lot of stuff in 1970 New Jersey. First of all, we get the last and final Stan Lee cameo. Nod to him, something that's been part of every Marvel film. I don't know, like I'm pretty sure even like he does cameos in the X-Men stuff too. I don't know if he's done all of them, but God, this guy, one of the original creators of Marvel. R.I.P. Thanks for everything, and it was nice to see a nod to him in this movie. Of course, there was. And where they go is this old camp where like the idea of Captain America started. Tony gets to see his dad again. Cap gets to see Peggy, like a kind of like working Peggy. Like in her career, she's like the director at this point. And then we do get a young Hank Pym with the OG Ant-Man helmet.
That thing's ugly.
Yeah, it looks like uncomfortable. Like, how would it even stay on your head?
Kind of looks like the Tick. Do you guys remember the Tick from Fox cartoons?
Yeah.
It does look like the Tick.
I see it. Ugh.
These are great scenes, really powerful. We also get 2013 Asgard. This is Thor: The Dark World, where Jane's there. They got the ether inside of her. That's the Reality Stone. Thor can't like get it together. Rocket gives him like 2 good speeches, and he still is just crying. Has to go talk to his mommy.
I love when he talks to his mom.
He's like, "Oh, mom, I am from the future." Oh.
But he still has it. He still gets the hammer.
He still gets the hammer. He's still worthy.
Yeah, what does this happen for the Thor that's in this reality? He just doesn't have a hammer now?
Well, if all goes to plan, Steve will bring it back later.
Okay. You're good call.
I know. I think about this stuff way too much.
Me too. Especially when you watch it 75 times and you just catch something new every time, I think, honestly.
You really do. You always catch like one more thing where you're like, "Oh my God, these motherfuckers have been playing this for years." Morag, 2014. You might not know that one off the top of your head. That's the opening scene of Guardians of the Galaxy, which we did a whole episode of that on the music show where we actually did the soundtrack from that film, and they actually cut to that song, that "Come and Get Your Love." And Rhodey goes, "Oh, so he's an idiot."
That song's been stuck in my head since I watched the Guardians movie, honestly. Can't get it out.
Those movies get you singing for sure.
Definitely part of the Mostly Superheroes music show, definitely.
Yeah, I did volume 1 and 2. Okay, so we got more rags. So the plan here is to get the Power Stone that Peter gets to kick off Guardians of the Galaxy. What happens instead? Rhodey knocks him out. Nebula takes the Reality Stone. Rhodey gets it and takes it back, so they got that one, no problem. A couple things. In this reality now, this Peter Quill did not get that stone. And now this universe is set off to a whole thing. But I guess same question as before. I guess Cap will bring it back, right? So never mind. I just contradicted myself with my own common sense.
Time travel's hard, man. Time travel's hard. We got to invent it first so we can kind of maybe do some troubleshooting.
Yeah, so the idea, just to kind of address that elephant in the room, the rules that I understand these time travel to be is you time travel, you're in someone else's reality now. And if you change something, then that's their problem. You just got to leave. And nothing you do changes your current present ever.
Because they talked about that, like they mentioned all the movies and TV shows that had time traveling in the beginning, and then kind of went through how it actually works in this reality. That was pretty good too.
There is one kind of hole that I'm curious about. The ancient one, she talks with Hulk. I think I'll feature that later. But she meets with Hulk and she explains time travel to him, and she says that the Infinity Stones themselves create the flow of time. So without those, you don't even have the flow of time. And if you remove one, that causes a problem. All right, well, if you guys really are following what happened with our Infinity Stones, Thanos destroyed them. And there are no stones in our MCU, like in the MCU universe that we watch, with like the universe where all this happens. We don't even have Infinity Stones. So I'm like, well, we'll see what are there ramifications from that? Maybe that has something to do with when the Eternals come to play. It's just kind of a big question that I think that like the Ancient One made a point to point out, but we'll see if there's anything to it. Not to pick up the movie apart, but this was another kind of like plot hole. I thought Nebula can't time travel because she gets like a message interception from her past self. Their antennas are crossing, and and this is where Thanos past finds out what the Avengers are up to. Well, she's like on a ship and she's like calling Mantis, and I was like, why don't you just hit that thing on your wrist and time travel? Like, I just never understood why she didn't just leap at any point in between getting taken by Thanos, but maybe I'm just missing an obvious thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know on that one. I'll leave that one open ended. You never know. Maybe a listener can figure that one out for
Yeah,
us.
if you have further thoughts on that, for sure, please, because I feel like that is something where I've always thought, like, well, why isn't she leaving yet? Why is she letting herself get kidnapped? It seems like she could have left at any moment through the time travel thing. So, like, what was the problem? Vormir 2014, this is where the Soul Stone happens, and this is where we do say goodbye to Black Widow. She sacrifices herself, gets the stone, Clint lives. We are getting Black Widow in May, but it's going to be the movie between Civil War and Infinity War. Let's talk about top moments. Absolutely, one of my favorite parts is when the Hulk snaps the Infinity Gauntlet that Tony builds. Just a really it's one of those moments, Mike, that you were talking about, like when Wakanda in the first one, just like this anticipation and the music and the sound effects, and just it looks so good. And even the process of them building the Infinity Gauntlet with these stones they've just brought back was just so Avengers. Made me think of Age of Ultron I love Age of Ultron, just them Avengers being Avengers, just being a team. But I love the snap. Big moment here. I love the storytelling. Past Nebula, getting a one-up on future Nebula. Other than that one hole I said. But, they got the Pym particles, and past Thanos is now coming to the future right in time to get this thing, but not before Hulk does bring back everybody.
Awesome moment.
Very awesome moment. Very, felt magical. Clint's phone starts ringing. Ant-Man's out on the thing.
Birds are chirping.
Sun
Shining.
Don't get to celebrate for long, though, because there is then an all-out assault on Avengers Campus from the Thanos ship. And this is where we get the Endgame Final War battle scene. The big three versus Thanos. The music, them finding each other, this little talk right here they have where they're like, where's the gauntlet? They're like, not here. And he's like, let's go down there. And Thor's like, it's a trap. And Captain's like, I don't care. And they're like, let's go kill him. And Thor gets his outfit back on, both hammers and the axe. And we get, the fight just kicks off, them three versus him. And it is epic in every way. So let's just get the elephant out of the room. Captain America wields Mjolnir. Andy, what did you feel when this happened? Walk us through it.
Oh, let's just say my pants got a little tighter. This was a great scene overall, honestly. People had speculated that it might happen. And as soon as you saw it moving, you knew it was going to happen. And honestly, they teased it earlier in Civil War when he kind of tried to pick up their all having drinks or whatever at the party. He tries to pick it up. I think it moved a little bit, and you can see Thor in the background kind of making a face like, what?
Age of Ultron. Yeah. At the party.
So this scene's a 10 out of 10. Everything about it.
Amazing. Mike, did you
have
have
a comic book callback? Him with the hammer. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is from some OG Marvel comic book content. Something that's theorized that he's, of course, worthy. There's also a theory that he could lift it in Age of Ultron, and that he decided to save Thor's pride because he was like, I don't need to ruin this guy's day.
I mean, look how Thor already went off the deep end without knowing this. Now what's he gonna do?
Yeah, he would have taken it bad because in the gauntlet scene, also Thor was like, "Well, I'm the strongest Avenger. I should be the one to wear the gauntlet." And he was clearly slurring his words and a little bit drunk, but he's still obviously. I mean, it makes sense to have the Hulk do it, but
he goes, "I have lightning coursing through my veins," and no, you don't. And he's like, "Yes, I do." And Rhodey goes, "You got cheese whiz," or something like that.
Exactly. That's hilarious.
Rocket goes, "You look like melted ice cream."
Yeah, he did.
And then, of course, on your left, portal's opening. Everybody's back, so guess what? They're all showing up to this final showdown, and it's first with Sam and Black Panther come out first. with every Avenger, every character you've ever seen, almost 99%. I mean, you got Ant-Man and the Wasp. You got all of the Guardians of the Galaxy. You got the full Doctor Strange and all the wizards doing a lot of heavy lifting in this fight, getting everybody here, like putting up shields and whatnot. Got Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. You get Pepper Potts in her suit for the first time. And you get all the Wakandian tribes. They're there. This is insane. You get this full superhero army right in front of your face. You get a giant man right off the gate. And we finally get those two epic words that we've been wanting to hear since we ever seen the movies. Avengers Assemble. Just goosebumps. Andy, actually, let's go to Mike. I went to Andy last time. Mike, what was this like for you? What was this moment like for you as like the, resident, DC guy, but seeing these all these Marvel characters showing up? What was it like?
Envy, like wanting DC to do something even a tenth of this cool and not ever doing it. Well, I will say, like, The Dark Knight's my favorite superhero movie of all time. That's a different level for me. On this proportion, like Batman versus Superman, Justice League, like, can we just get like a tenth of this? Like, just give us a little bit, like a little, because this was sweet. It was like a who's who, like who's going to come out next, kind of like the Royal Rumble in wrestling. Like people were just popping out, and it was sweet to see.
What about you, Giggler?
Oh man, just like that feeling when your goosebumps get goosebumps. Like I just got chills again just looking at this. So much going on, and this whole scene is just constant action. Probably my favorite scene of any movie of all time, for sure. This I don't know how long this lasts, maybe 10 minutes or so. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, I won't lie. I mean, like, there's like multiple parts where I cry in this movie. Like, it's.
I won't lie either.
I mean, if you're a real MCU fan, like that's literally what they were going for. Like there are so many just like tug on the heartstring moments, and like God, we've been watching Iron Man for like 13 years. Like
I love it 3000.
Woo! Oh yeah. Good transition, Andy. This is the big moment. Actually, I'll skip ahead and I'll come back to this, to our fan mail. Try this fan mail again.
Fan mail.
I'd put it too early the first time around. Remote Control Wiz tweeted us an Endgame moment. Andy and I both had the same confusion about this part because it is a little confusing. You got Doctor Strange. He has a fundamental kind of moment at both Infinity War and Endgame. But he tweets, "This is the moment. Stark realizes he has to become the shield of armor around the planet." And right after this is where Tony does get the better hand on Thanos just for a moment. He has obviously designed the Iron Gauntlet, the Iron Gauntlet, to be able to work with his suit, and gets his hands on the Infinity Stones and gives us one last time to knock out Thanos' army, to level the playing field, to save everybody. I am Iron Man. Oh my God, this scene destroys me.
Yep.
It just like wrecks my heart, and I just like hate it. I'll be like, I hate this. Like, don't do it, you know? But it did it.
But it's perfect, right?
It is perfect. It was the exact right send-off, is the way they should have done it. And here's the thing. Robert Downey Jr. is not dead.
Yeah. There's so many, like, he almost died in Infinity War. Like, he gets stabbed in the chest from Thanos, lives through that. Like, at the beginning of the movie, he's literally like how terrible he looked, like emaciated from not eating for like 20 days.
Yeah.
Like, you thought he was going to die right there. And then it doesn't make it any easier when it gets to this, because I was just like, he's Iron Man. He'll live, right? Nah, not for now at least.
What'd you say, Mike?
He's Thor opposite in the beginning. He's all skinny, can't even walk.
Yeah, he was super frail.
Thor opposite.
You know what was really cool? I like that. I loved about the Infinity War scene is whenever it's the final standoff between Thanos and Thor Thanos and Iron Man before Iron Man does get that stab, get stabbed, and you do think he's gonna die. Thanos legit says like, "I know who you are." Like he was like, "I know that we're both cursed with knowledge." I was like, God, this guy of epic proportions. He knew Tony Stark, and that's how we all felt about him. Like this guy. I mean, my God, what a perfect cast and what a really epic journey just watching these movies from 2008 and seeing this all come to a head in this crazy epic multiverse film. And now, what, we got another 10 years of this stuff? Like, count me in. PC Mike, top moments from the film. We'll do the rating at the end. This is just your favorite parts or anything that you want to mention that we didn't miss, storyline-wise.
I just think it's amazing from 2008 to then of how they built this story and how like little pieces here and there, little breadcrumbs that now we can go back and like Loki, the whole Loki series is picking up from a small incident in a movie in 2012. And now you're having a 2-season, at least Loki series off that one incident. How they combined everything and how they tied all the movies together. I mean, it really is a testament, and it really is amazing how they did all that. And that's really top moment for me is how all those movies tied together and how it all works.
Beautifully said. And I'll tell you that moves me because like I know that you're like always been a DC guy, and like the fact that you're watching this stuff now and like doing this podcast with us and like just that you really like you liked it. It's just like one of those things where you're like, it is good. Like they did something really special here.
No, it's hats off. I mean, it is good. And I can see why like it's so popular. I really can. Because the characters, like the big three, and then Hulk and all of them, they're perfectly cast, they're perfectly done. And it's just a test. And it's just crazy. I almost want to like sit down, and I know I'll never get to, but like sit down with 2008 versions of them and say like, you're gonna do 23 movies all the way throughout and tie them together perfectly? Or did it just start and they're like, oh, we can maybe do this and we can maybe do this, and then once it started to really roll, like, oh, okay, now we can start connecting them. It's just crazy to me.
It feels intentional to me. Adam and I talked about that in an early episode, saying that it just felt like every scene, it almost feels like you're like, oh, they knew that at that point during that film. Like, oh my gosh, they've been planning so far ahead. It was just really thoughtful.
Yeah, for sure.
Giggler, top moments?
Oh man, where to begin? So this is kind of, since we didn't really have a slide for like the Captain America scene at the end.
We do. We're gonna do like, we're still going through the characters like we did for Infinity War.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So, I just kind of noticed in my rewatch, there was a scene in Captain America, the original, where Peggy says, "Have a dance when this is all over," and I'm sorry, my bad. I had this all backwards, but Bucky says, "Let's have a dance," or something like that. And she says, "Waiting on the right partner." And they just still kind of, obviously, they had Peggy and Captain America had the scene where at the end where he's going into the ice and they're on the phone talking about having a dance down the road. And like, that's just an example of just the beauty of how everything is connected and well thought out. Like they didn't just connect these things after the fact. Like this is like collected and like calculated like 100%. I can't believe that they pulled this off, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store. And I'm not going to say that they can't match this, but the next phase has a lot to live up to for sure.
Yeah, it really does, because this is like, it's definitely a masterpiece what they've done, but it is exciting. They're going to keep going. I loved it too. I picked up on that. I remember that from the Captain America, the first Avenger, that note about the last, getting a dance later, and just the scene with old Captain America coming back and like the handoff of the shield to Sam. We'll talk about that. And then we also get Steve Rogers going back to take these Infinity Stones back. So there's this whole story of Captain America that maybe we'll get one day. It's like we've talked about it being maybe part of the Loki series, maybe something else or a future film. I think Chris Evans, did put down the shield, but maybe, in the right circumstances, if, it's going as well as it did the first time around, I think he could be convinced to do something special again for the fans. And what a send-off, to a character, too. It was very unique, and, it wasn't a death scene, and there were so many times where I thought he was going to die in Endgame in the big battle, and then to see him go out this way was just, very different, and I love to see that he got his happy ending. We did lose Black Widow, as she sacrificed herself. We covered that. And then Tony, we gave a send-off to him, but, what a nod to a character as well. Of course, he was the one that saved everybody. And what a funeral, that funeral scene, everybody that was there, Jesus, that guest list is really crazy. You got Black Panther, you got Guardians of the Galaxy from different planets.
Did you say Jesus was actually there too?
I wouldn't have been surprised if Jesus was yeah, this guy.
Here's a good one. I made a good one here.
little boy from Iron Man 3, all grown up.
Yep, Iron Man 3, little boy. What's he doing there?
That was crazy. Again, just crazy connections that unbelievable.
All right, Professor Hulk. He's still around, and we should get him in She-Hulk at least somewhat. And I would like to see at some point maybe more about how he became Professor Hulk. Give us that scene, or he did the 18 months in the lab or something. I just don't know how much more we're going to see from Mark Ruffalo as Hulk. I want to see, Hulk is one of my favorite characters, and Mark Ruffalo's, he's pretty good, but I just don't know how invested Disney is. We'll see what happens. I hope that he does not go anywhere. I hope he sticks around. We get the Asgardians of the Galaxy again. You guys talked about how electric Chris Pratt and Chris Hemsworth are on screen together. Well, you're getting it in Thor: Love and Thunder. And you're probably going to get it maybe in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which will happen at some point. Either way, they have primed this group ready to be in future stuff together. We also know that Gamora, this is the bottom left picture here, there's a new Gamora that came from the past through the portal, 2014, 2012 maybe, Gamora. And she comes around kind of quickly, and she helps defeat Thanos. We are assumed to think that she didn't get dusted when Tony did, because she's, she was kind of a good guy in the end. And Nebula's there too, so they'll be all part of the same storylines moving forward. Big stuff for this Friday. You got Wanda. I did Wanda, Clint, and Vision, just to kind of wrap them all up. But Wanda and Clint kind of say goodbye to Vision, goodbye to Black Widow. Vision is still very much dead from Infinity War. Clint is moving forward with his family, and we get an end shot with them all together, with the kids and the wife back. So that'll be that Hawkeye storyline. That's coming later this year. It's important. It'll probably, we might get Hawkeye on WandaVision. They end on really close terms here. Maybe there's a crossover at some point this year. Falcon and Winter Soldier. We get the handoff from Sam, from Captain America to Sam to be the new Captain America. He's got the new shield. I'm excited for this. I am really excited for this show, Falcon and Winter Soldier, coming. Oh, I think I misspoke. I think I've been saying Loki's in March. It's WandaVision first, and then Falcon Winter Soldier coming in March. And we're going to get this show. It's going to be this story of Sam having the shield, battling a new Captain America. There's some kind of new government in place that's running some stuff. We're going to find out what that's all about. I can't wait to see Bucky Barnes more on screen in a TV show. That's just going to be cool. I like the character, and I think there's a lot to explore there. The guy was in Wakanda for 2 years without an arm until there was a war. Then they're like, here's the arm. He was throwing hay in Infinity War, and he goes, huh. They're like, here's your arm. And he's like, where's the fight? I would have been like, where the hell's this arm been?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that is something that's touched on in the show, because I feel like they did that for a reason.
Maybe he had to learn to work without the arm so he would appreciate the arm.
I'm sure there was a pretty good message in there. Hopefully we'll get some good Wakanda flashbacks in Falcon and Winter Soldier. That'd be cool. We already talked about Loki. It's coming. 2012 Loki. He's going to be in the show. We'll start with you, PC Mike, again. Avengers Endgame, your honest rating.
I was 3.4 for Infinity War. I'm going to go with a 3.6 for Endgame.
Solid score. What were your overall feelings on the movie?
I think they improved from Infinity War. I think it was a nice way to tie things up. They tied up loose ends, but they also now kind of looking back on it even more have sent us into the future, like with Phase 4, with all these TV shows and all these spinoffs. A really great way to kind of tie everything up. And again, I'm just amazed, like with all the time traveling and stuff, how they did it. So hats off to them. I think 3.6 for me is a great fair score. And I think that it made me excited now for the future shows, even though I have to see Vision on my TV screen weekly.
Yeah, right.
I will watch, but
awesome, man. Well, we're excited to watch with you. Giggler, what's your rating, man?
3.9.
Woo! There it is.
I matched you there. I had that. This movie is definitely better to the first, just because of how, just it's the culmination of so much. I freaking love it. Watching it today, like I literally finished this like right before we jumped on the Zoom. So
that's perfect.
Very fresh, and it literally just never gets old. My buddy texts me every time he watches it. Actually, he's the one that was in the fan mail today. He every time he watches it, he'll get a text from like 3-4 in the morning. He's like, just finished Endgame, cried again. Great movie.
That's exactly it. That's like the text of every Avengers, like real Avengers fan is, all right, here we go. Time to cry again.
It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, I don't think so. All right, solid scores. I went 3.9 on Avengers Infinity War. That kind of really does make it easier to get to that score, I think, a little bit quicker. I'm going to give Avengers Endgame a 3.8. And it's I think it really, after seeing these movies so many times, I really do just think I enjoy Infinity War like a lot, like not a lot more, but more. Like it's definitely that difference of 3.9 to 3.8 of just like the overall, like I almost appreciate the build up to the story more than like the story wrapping up, because the story wrapping up kind of makes me sad a little, Whereas
do you think it's maybe because Infinity War ended almost completely different than any other superhero movie has in the history of superhero movies?
Yeah, you talk about a movie that like is so epic from the beginning to the end, just jumping from one location to the next and then ending with this massive climax where literally the theater is silent. I was like, I'm experiencing a new type of movie right now. And I mean, that's why it gets that 3.9 rating, only just, a tenth of a point away from perfect. But Endgame is right there. These two are definitely a match made in heaven, and I don't watch one without the other typically. All right, this has been Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War, and man, we really did catch you up on some things to look forward to MCU. Let's take a quick break, and we'll wrap up when we come right back.
Hey podcast listeners, this is Chris Holsey. I'm the host of the new true crime podcast, Small Town Forgotten. In the first season, I focus on a very personal cold case. 31 years ago, my family member Jimmy Wade Martin was murdered in front of multiple witnesses in Bonne Terre, Missouri. A murder weapon was found and a man confessed, and yet there have been no convictions and no justice for Jimmy Wade's twin daughters. You can listen to Small Town Forgotten directly from our website, smalltownforgotten.com, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.
We just wrapped up the Infinity Saga. Holy cow, I can't believe we just broke down both movies in this one podcast. That was one of the most fun things I've ever done. Did you enjoy that as well, Giggler?
100%. Well, we could do this every week, honestly.
Well, good thing we are. PC Mike, was that a good time for you?
It was. And it makes me appreciate it more hearing it from you two guys gushing over it. Andy had to change pants, it sounds like, a couple times. So either they got wet or they expanded and got stretched out. But no, it was a good time and good to hear about some Avengers.
That's where the Giggler's always going during the break. Andy's just changing his pants in between talking about the films.
I know. Or sometimes I'm just not wearing any.
Gosh, got a big mess there after in your dining room there.
You got to subscribe to Patreon to really get Andy.
Yeah. Find that on my OnlyFans
interviews.
Yeah, we have exclusive footage of Andy on our Patreon account. No, just kidding. Not yet, anyway. All right, coming up on the show, we have a lot happening. I mean, my gosh, I never know what day it is, but thankfully, because of our Mostly Superhero schedule, keeps me on track. Probably will keep you on track too. So go to mostlysuperheroes.com, right there on the homepage. Some things to look forward to this week, going into next week. We just did release a episode of Mostly Superheroes, the music show. It's Tuesday, so of course we did. We did the 1998 film, The Wedding Singer. Adam Sandler did the soundtrack. Yeah, I did like 10, 11 songs. It was a good time. I really forgot some of the funniest parts from that movie, so that was fun to talk about. I would go back and I would go listen to that for sure. That's exclusively on Spotify because we bring in the music from the film. So get over there and enjoy that. We have a Logan's Heroes coming up. We'll be doing these in 2021, of course. That's our interview segment where we bring on fun people, do one-on-one conversations. Our latest one is with filmmaker Jeremy Corey with Cool Fire Studios. We had a great sit down. I think we talked for 2 hours about the nerdiest stuff you've ever heard about. Toys, video games. This guy's worked on Voltron, Protector of the Universe. He worked on Nicktoons in 2011. He has got some stories to tell, and he has got an epic nerd basement. And so we got it all on video, of course. So get ready for that coming out later on. We'll be doing WandaVision, folks. Of course. Friday kicks off WandaVision, first 2 episodes, so we'll be talking about them. When? We'll figure it out. I'll tell you one thing I'm going to do, though. I discovered with this group watch on Disney Plus, like it's me, you can literally just like get a link together, and I'll put it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in the Mostly Superhero squad. And there are 5 spots available. And I'm talking to you two as well, Mike and Andy. So this goes for you guys. If you guys are free, we're probably going to watch WandaVision like Friday night, I imagine. You know, me and Carrie, like it'll be like a Friday night thing. It comes out on Friday. I'm going to share that link out whenever I'm watching. It could happen at 4 o'clock. It could happen at noon. It could happen at 8 p.m. If you just happen to see the link on social, you can watch along with us. And with the group watch function on Disney Plus, we can do like live reactions with each other. So it's not too distracting. It's like a smiley face, a heart, a sad face. And you can watch along with me as I watch it live. So keep an eye on the Mostly Superhero Squad for those links. We'll definitely be watching it every week, and we'll be covering it on the show, of course. Something we haven't talked about since 2020. You guys remember our VHS watch party contest? Well, we're going to be scheduling the Jurassic Park watch party. It's going to be a live show, minimum 1 hour. I just have to figure out what platform it needs to be on. Because I know Twitch has like a function where you can like watch movies from Amazon Prime. So I want to explore that. And I also, maybe it'll be more of like, okay, we do it on Instagram or Facebook. You just put Jurassic Park on in your own house and then you watch along with us. We could like do it live remotely. We can answer your questions in the chat. We'll have hopefully our guest on that won the prize from that contest. So we'll get him on, do our best to. And then lastly, we talked about in the last episode, Mostly Madness is what I've deemed this. Mike, what do you think of the name Mostly Madness for our movie tournament?
I love the alliteration. It's a little middle school English for you guys, but the alliteration that you used with Mostly Madness movie tournament, but I love it. We're still making some tweaks, but I think it's going to be something that people enjoy. And I think it's going to be something that people can get involved in. So be checking probably Twitter, I would assume, in the next coming weeks, getting closer to March. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be different. We're going to try to do something. I know that there's a lot of different brackets that people do. I saw one the other day that was chain restaurant brackets. But we're going to try to add a little spice to it, do something a little different movie style for you guys.
Yeah, I'm thinking we do like big, like we get the big buckets of films and we just put them head to head in some kind of fashion. And I'm very excited to get into more of the details with you guys to plan it out. And you all will certainly be a heavy, heavy component of the deciding factors of who is moving up in the tournament. And it's going to cross movies from all genres. So get ready, movie buffs. This is going to be a huge, huge ongoing tournament all through. It's going to be easy. If you're a March Madness fan, Well, now you got Mostly Madness, and we're going to keep you entertained with that. We got the new schedule. I already mentioned that as well, so get that over at mostlysuperheroes.com. Man, we really appreciate you guys. We still see so many people coming in, listening to the show, and we're getting new people every single day. We got more people commenting on our stuff, sending us ideas. The ideas are starting to flow in, and we're going to keep featuring you on the show. Don't forget, we still have the website. We have the studio phone. All these ways that you can reach out and be involved with the program. We're having a lot of fun. Any final thoughts from you, Giggler? Did you have fun today?
I think I texted you guys last week that last week was my favorite episode so far, but have to update that to this one. So just keeps getting better, and hopefully that's just the theme of 2021 for everybody on Mostly Superheroes and beyond.
PC Mike, final thoughts?
Can't agree more. It seems like we tweak, we do a little something different. We adapt, and we're doing Zooms now. Hopefully we're in the studio soon, but hey, this is fun. And with all the content that's coming out, I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys. Definitely a team effort here on Mostly Superheroes. You know, I'm the guy here behind the mic, and I can put these slides together, but everything looks good because of Carrie, and everything sounds great because I got these two yahoos to chat it up with. So we hope you guys are enjoying it. Right into the show. We want more fan mail. We want you to be a part of this. This is a show by the fans for the fans, and we're going to see you next time on Mostly Superheroes.